We have Bert and Johannan.
Oh, there we are. Hey.
We would like to say hello because we are new to the HOA. We moved in August, so we're glad to be here.
Hello.
I'm Chris, and this is my husband, Joe.
Welcome.
Okay, so we don't have Isaac or Will.
Is this as well online? No one.
Might as well pause it. No, don't tell me that.
Will says his link won't open.
Have them go to Facebook. Try the Facebook one. It works, it's for sure.
For all your needs, if you're experiencing others, go online.
That makes 0 sense.
Yeah, it makes 0 sense. How does that work? If you've got an outage, how can you go online? Say someone has internet connections, you say to yourself.
Okay, I believe we have Will here as well. Or at least coming in.
He's on.
Okay, it is 6:03. We have currently present myself, Tom Krasinski, Bert Winfield, Barbara Murray, Ryan Thompson, Johanna Wells, and Will. I forgot your last name. Kamarazic. Will is present as well. Board members not present. I currently do not see Isaac, but he might pop in later. Other persons present here, we do have our community manager, Heather Bates. Do we have approval of the prior minutes from last meeting? Everyone get a chance to look at them? Any questions? Do we approve of that?
Do you need a second or?
Make a motion.
I can approve. I can make the motion if you want, Tom.
Perfect. Someone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
My bad on forum, folks. Officer reports?
I have none, sir.
I'd just like to say that the Finance Committee has been working really hard on the budget, and it's not a report, but I just want to say thank you to everyone on the committee for all the work and the countless hours you've been putting in to try and get things right.
I agree. Okay, a motion. On that topic for the 2022 budget, I want to make a motion to postpone the 22 budgets no later than our next board meeting in November.
Second.
I'm sure as hopefully most of everyone has seen by now, we have budgets that have came through proposed from the Finance Committee. They look great as far as they're proposed. They do have a lot of options, and I think they need further discussion that we should have in a town hall meeting this Monday, coming up Monday.
Well, I agree. I've looked over the options, but I think there needs to be further discussion as well. So I'm in favor.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait, I'm sorry, I just have one more point of discussion before we go in favor. Just for process-wise, we're gonna have a town hall on Monday. Sean, I know that Associate is Vice President of Finance I think he reached out directly to you today, correct?
Yeah, I found that out secondhand because my internet's been down.
Got it. So he's reaching out just to make sure that we're all on the same.
I talked to Richard this morning.
Okay,
I don't know if he's gonna be here in person or on Zoom, but he will be here for that meeting in one form or another.
okay.
And it's just to talk things over. His big concern this morning of everything that he's seen, and he has seen the proposed budgets, is he's just not understanding the $75,000 shortfall. But again, that's a much deeper conversation that we're more than willing to have it.
And that's it, exactly. I just want to make sure that that's communicated, because it's very educated people on all sides are seeing things differently, and it's numbers, it has to add up somehow.
That's exactly what I said.
Right.
It might be a different way of looking at it like this way. He might be looking at it from the accounts being all in one versus being separate.
So as long as, I agree as well. I'll support the motion to delay. I just wanted to simply say, I just want to make sure that happens before we approve regardless. So, sorry.
Nope, that's fine. I'll just restate the motion, a motion to postpone the 2022 budget approval to November. Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carried.
Did we skip over the manager and the committee
Yeah.
reports?
You hear, right? Okay, Ma. Thank you. Happy weekend.
Apologize.
I'm sorry, you probably didn't hear me, but I was just saying, it seemed like we went into new business, and did we skip over the manager report and committee reports?
I apparently skipped over a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I just wanted to,
Print these things out beforehand.
if I could have the floor, that'd be great. I'll be quick.
Yes, Joanne, it's all yours.
Okay, yeah, no, November 2nd is the next committee meeting. We're right now finishing up our Halloween scavenger hunt. I think we have like 6 people that have currently finished the full main. So congratulations to all the winners. And we are going to be starting up with November's business. The agenda items are posted. And of course, hopefully we're getting Santa. So great stuff on the horizon. So that's pretty much it for me. If I'm forgetting anything. Hopefully.
Perfect. Thank you, Joanne. Community management reports?
I'm gonna keep some of it brief, but to let everybody know, it'll be posted on Town Square, so you'll see everything in detail. The delinquency has gone down from 27,000 to 995 to 22,780. And since then, I have received notification of a few more residents that have paid the attorney. So the monies are just interim to be posted, so it'll go down even more. Violation policy, I'm suggesting to the board that you revise your violation policy to send a first notice giving 30 days compliance on a violation, and then a second notice giving 14 days compliance, and then after the 14 days, if not in compliance, then send to the attorney. So something to note, maybe we can work on a draft on that. You've completed your reserve study interviews, so this will be on the November agenda for your approval on that. I did send a notice to, well, I'm going to skip over that because it's on your agenda. The action items that you voted on last month, those have all been taken care of and completed. Still waiting on the board to come back to me about the landscape specifications for your new contract. We're going to be meeting with Sunrise to go over their contract. They want to know basically what format you wanted them in. Do you want them separate per neighborhood? Do you want them all in one? So Tommy and I are going to meet with them next week to go over that. And then I've also sent them the specifications to see how they like them, if they wanted to add anything to that. Annual election, we just agreed the date, so I do have a calendar date that mail outs will go out for that starting December 2nd. Maintenance, fire extinguishers were all inspected on October 19th, and they are in compliance. Pool heater was turned on October 18th at 86 degrees. The hours to the pool will change as of Monday per the documents, so I'll be adjusting those Monday. The treadmill that you approved on was repaired last month, or last week. Thank you to Tommy for finishing up the fire pit.
Almost.
Yeah.
99%.
I went over that. The lake out front, I've not heard anything since the CBD meeting. The CBD met beginning of this month. What I gathered was they have a few different options. One would be to get an engineer involved, look at the makeup of everything, find out how they can, what they can do to change the situation, which will be expensive. The lesser expensive, which is still expensive, is to build a boardwalk and keep it the way it is. But they are working on that. Now, they do meet the first Thursday of every month here. So you can come next Thursday, and hopefully they'll have some more information on that. And for the rest of the items, it'll be posted on Town Square, so you'll see it.
Perfect. Committee reports? Anyone?
Well, I already did mine, so.
Good, that's what I passed.
Yeah, I'm setting my financial report for.
Sounds good. Okay, so on to new business, even though we already started. Sorry, folks. There's a motion here to establish a fining committee.
Well, like
Make
to make
that
the
that was actually for
Son
Will,
of Will.
but Will, would you like to make a motion?
Yes. So I guess I'm making a motion for the chair. Sorry to hear you guys. I'm in an electrical room. I'm supposed to make a motion towards the chairman of the board. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
I think the creation of the committee, make a
Yes,
motion
I'm
to
sorry.
create.
Yeah, I got a transformer in the back, so it's hard to hear you guys. Yes, I make a motion to form the committee. Sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll help Will out a little bit. I talked with him a bit here. Will has been working and reaching out to some of the residents to actually form a fining committee. I believe we have some of those people present here today. Obviously, the purpose of this committee is so that we can actually establish fines based on our violation policy, which currently has no fines attached to it. So all those in favor of establishing a fining committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? All right, that motion carries. Bert, we have you down here for the next one?
What's the next one?
I think the chair.
A motion to appoint a liaison to the fining committee.
I'll take care of it. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'll second that.
Okay, Will, that is you. So the motion is to appoint Will as the liaison to the fining committee. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Are we reading a script?
Yeah. All those not in favor?
Nothing wrong with that.
Motion carries.
So Will's the liaison to the fining committee.
Who's liaison to the fining committee?
So, hey, I'll jump in and step in here. So, do we have an identified person for the chair of the fining
Your
committee?
next item is to appoint
Yep.
a chairman.
So I'll
And
make
Will- I'm sorry, go ahead, because
I make a motion to appoint a chairman to the fining committee from we don't have the person.
Will has a person.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Will.
Yes. So we have Bernie Rodriguez. I'm not sure if he's in the crowd or on Zoom, and that's who I want to make it.
I can second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, yes?
You're on a motion here?
I don't think I have, I see it on the thing for the yard sale, but at this point, I'm still working on contacting and checking what the other date for the rest of Fish Hawk is. So if it's all right with everyone else, I would like to postpone this to next meeting.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes.
All right, the next motion is going to be for assigning a CPA for our 2021 audit and tax prep. I make the motion to enter into a contract with Excel to prepare the HOA 2021 audit and taxes for a total of $5,850.
Did
I can second that.
we get three?
Is there any discussion for the motion?
Yeah, did we get any
I
other
provided
quotes?
other proposals in your packet.
Yeah,
It's
we have
in
the
there?
proposals in the
Okay,
packet.
sorry.
Excel was
Okay.
both, they seemed reasonable, and Excel was the cheapest by about $300. So with two regional offers and one was the cheapest, I just made the motion for the cheapest one. All right, so.
Well, I already seconded the motion, so
All right.
I'm sorry, all those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
I,
I'm sorry, folks, I got it, next, for our next meeting, we have to separate this. I can't really do it like this. Yeah, Isaac is not here.
I'll keep going with it. All right, so the title of this one is for the 2022 Republic Services Contract. I move to renew the current contract for public services effective January 31, 2021 for removal of our trash cans here at no increased cost.
I'll second that. Any conversation on that one?
I don't think so.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is that the last one?
Due to the upcoming holidays, I move to hold we need to pick dates. I need to choose dates. I move to choose dates for the November and December board meetings.
I'll second that.
So what do we think?
What dates do we want for November and December for our board meetings?
Well, I'm gonna throw out what about 18th? That's before Thanksgiving, the weekend before, the Thursday before, the week before. Is that good for everybody?
Right now, I have no conflict.
No conflicts.
Okay, that works for me. December?
And December, looking at it, the week before Christmas, the 17th. Oh, I'm sorry, 16th.
Agreed.
So 2 weeks before your normal meeting?
That is weeks before our Thursday. December 16th. So we have December 16th and November 18th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So just sorry, I'm having a lot of feedback. We said November 18th and December 16th is what we said?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I make a motion, move to accept or not accept the ARC appeal of the owners of 5925 Jasper Glen Drive.
Can you talk a little bit about the
Okay, I make a motion to accept the ARC appeal for the owners of 5925 Jasper Glen Drive.
I'll second it.
This is Sean. I'm on the call as well.
All right,
Okay.
If you have any questions.
I believe you guys, Ryan, and you guys drove by it, right?
Yeah, so bottom line is I'm obviously the owner on board, but from my understanding, there's a tree that is, that the owner had already had to take action to the sidewalks to fix the sidewalks on owner's property. And that tree is one of what could be multiple issues, but definitely something that is causing an issue with the sidewalk again. So it's gonna be something that the owner's gonna have to continue to fix, and obviously we don't want that. So the idea is that the owner is going to have the tree professionally removed and then replace it with a similar or like tree that meets the guidelines of the community. So that's what the motion is to accept. Bert, did that come through clear?
Yes, sir, it did. I have no problem. I vote aye.
Can I clarify?
Yes, please.
And I think the homeowner can, and correct me if I'm wrong, homeowner, what he is proposing is to remove the tree from the easement and then install a tree in his yard outside of that, not replacing the tree in the easement itself.
Yeah.
Well,
Correct, or had it changed?
yeah, yes and no, because by code, you're actually supposed to replace a street tree with another tree. I'm gonna actually put a Drake elm in, because of county code, you do have to replace another street tree in that section.
So you will be replacing the tree in the easement with a.
That is correct. My big concern is on those documents, when you guys had told me page 22, 5. I mean, we probably going forward need to reword that, because it says the developer and the home builders are the only entities authorized to plant trees in that area.
That's correct.
So, I mean, there's no more home builders and there's no more developer.
Well,
That was the confusing part.
Where does that fall then on the HOA?
I'm sorry?
And that falls back on the HOA for planting the trees currently.
Okay.
You're replacing, but you're not allowed to plant any additional.
You're not allowed to, exactly, you're not allowed to plant any additional, but since you're removing one and we're replacing one in the exact same location.
So it's something though that we could look into to update
For
our
sure.
documents when we do our next refresh of our guidelines.
Hands down, they are not.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor to accept the appeal?
All right.
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Well, yes.
Where's the easiest way to get to Chase Club from here?
Chase Club, you'd have to go to an elevator to get to that.
Okay.
So if you go
Very well, does that work?
through these double doors, yeah.
He forgot to silence himself.
Okay, I make a motion, I move to order to reserve the fire pit deposit in the amount of $100 and a fee in the amount of $0 are required.
Can you restate that, Tommy? What are you doing?
I'm making a motion that we have a deposit for fire pit rental in the amount of either $50 or $100. Needs to be a discussion.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. The purpose here is, yes, the fire pit does need to be a rental, and the rental dates are posted under the Lake House calendar on Facebook. Will also be posted at the front door of the Lake House. But we should have some sort of deposit. There's a key that needs to go out, there's laminated instructions that need to go out with it, and, you know, it's a burning ball of fire in the middle of the woods. Needs to have some responsibility behind it. Deposit's fully refundable, just give the key back. I don't know, you know, do we want that? And if we do, what do we want that number to be?
So is this something that would then be when the fire pit was working, there was a period of time at some point. The idea is that the on-site property manager, whether that's the property manager or the additional personnel that were here, would have to be here to turn it on and turn it off for the residents, right? Which restricted access to the hours that those personnel were here. So sometimes it was like 4 o'clock on a Saturday or whatever it was. So what you're proposing is, if I'm reading this correctly, you're proposing to make it where a person can rent use of the fire pit.
Yeah, so Friday night, you want to hang out at the fire pit? Fine. Drop a deposit down Friday morning, grab the key. You got it.
And does it exclude others from using it? or sitting out there? I guess that's the only problem I have with it.
Well, not necessarily. So short answer is I don't exactly know how this goes. It's gonna be a little bit trial by error, but the idea is you don't want two different groups of families reserving it on the same night. So the idea to the reservation is at least it's posted somewhere that it's going to be in use that night.
Sure.
You know, whether they're posting it open for the whole community or posting it for a semi-closed private.
So they're not really renting space. It's more of they're gonna sit around the fire pit, use it. Other people can obviously still use the lake house or be in the general area.
And again,
Just
depending on
be-
the day of time, because sometimes we have lake house on our reservations that include everything.
Right. I'm talking, you know, at 8:30 on a Thursday night, if I wanna come out here and have a fire pit,
Why not?
why not? So it wouldn't be necessarily excluding other people's, but it would be, yeah, your group is using the fire pit at that time. You've reserved it, you've rented it.
My goal is to just have a key passed along that holds
Yeah.
someone responsible for the key and responsible for the fire help.
Would we restrict hours of operation?
Oh, like a certain time they have to be done.
Yeah, like they need to be gone by, obviously they shouldn't be out here until 1 AM.
I mean, I wouldn't care, but if I lived on either side of the lake house, I might care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking more of just put some general guidelines in place that would prevent, I mean, nothing good's happening after 11 o'clock anyway at the fire pit, right? In a public space. So like, just put some kind of general guidelines around its use to say, ensure fire pit is off at X time and.
You could, yeah.
I'm thinking out loud, clearly, but.
No, I kind of agree with Will. I think we should have some guidelines that we, and that they sign off and pay their deposit so that, it's understood what is expected and then, what's required for them to get the deposit back, that they follow certain rules.
Okay, so then how much money for the deposit and what time do we think? 11 PM, midnight,
I think 50 is probably enough.
50?
Is it
Just
only
in my
for
opinion,
non?
it's just like, what are we gonna, like, so they don't return the key. How much does a new key cost?
Probably $50.
Is it only for non, like if someone came here at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday and wanted to use the fire pit, do they have to pay a rental or can Heather turn it on for them?
Well, it has to be turned off, so they still have to have the key, right?
I-
Oh, you're saying.
I'm
she's
saying
still
the
here.
hours of operation that we have somebody here.
Here's how this process works. If someone comes here and they want to use the fire pit, Jennifer could log into the calendar, see there's nothing available, log in, give them the key. Will they require a deposit? No. I would say no because management's here. But they would have to have the key returned by 5 PM.
So for hours outside of normal operation type of a deal.
Sure. And again, it still kind of has to be booked because we need to track who's responsible for it and who has the key, whether management's here or not. There needs to be some sort of paper trail.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I agree. I think I agree with the $50 and that they have to check it out and we have a name of the person responsible. So, with that, we can, of course, we should be able to track down the key and get it, and deal with the person to address. I think I would be supportive of that.
Sean, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, how are you collecting the deposit? I mean, people don't carry cash these days. That's gotta be a consideration. And then you also want to build in that you won't accept the check because it's just a piece of paper and they can do whatever they want at that point. Just kind of odd things. And other times, I can make a statement that I've had people take my driver's license, which is way more valuable than the $50.
But if they're using it on a Saturday, they're without their driver's license until Monday. Because the office has it.
Yeah, you're right, you're turning it in.
I got an idea. What if we said something like this? Fire pit rentals that are after Monday through Friday business hours will require a $50 cash deposit that will be returned once the key is returned, and the fire pit hours will not extend that of 11 PM.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, and then that's something that they can plan in.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that sounds good. Can you repeat that for me, please? Fire pit rentals.
After
Fire
hours.
pit rentals after Monday through Friday business hours will require a $50 cash deposit and will be returned
When the key is returned.
when
The deposit will be returned when the key is returned.
Okay. And then there was something after that that I,
Fire pit hours are not to exceed 11 PM.
okay.
Can it be made an even number instead of an odd number?
60. Yeah, I was thinking
Easier to
exactly
do.
that easy. I go to ATM, get $60. I'll change it to 60.
Minimum $50.
Hmm?
Minimum
Minimum. We'll take more.
It's extra.
Are you considering it an income generator?
No.
Just a deposit.
A reservation, I'm sorry, it's on our reservation calendar, you're 100% correct.
And the word is really just deposit, because it's coming down.
Yeah. All those in favor of that?
Hi.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that passed. Johannan,
You want to
Yeah,
talk
make-
about Santa Claus?
Yes, we're going to talk about Santa Claus. I make a motion to, I've already put down the deposit for Skip a Santa. But the total will be, I believe, $531. I said a motion that the HOA is to pay for that, for the Santa. And of course, I went with this because of the request for insured Santa, and so that's why we're doing this. And then, so that's currently what the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. So you have a motion to cover the cost of story time with Santa in the event of the amount, how much?
$531 for the Santa.
$531. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Yay.
I don't think so. Yard sale,
You have
contract.
operating reserve, bank accounts, and then social club spending authority.
I don't have
That's
that.
not on here.
Those two things.
Okay, I want to make a
Oh, because
motion.
he printed the wrong
I
one.
put in the wrong one.
See, you're ready for my pen.
I move to make a motion to separate both our operating and reserve bank accounts from 2 individual accounts to 10 total, 5 each representing each of one of our neighborhood communities.
Second.
Any
Absolutely. Great.
conversation on that as to why?
What should we
No,
explain?
I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. I also move to make a motion to have an operating budget expense per event for the liaison of the social committee in the amount of $800.
I second that motion.
The motion is that we need to have, I'm looking for Johanna to have some sort of approved expense on events that are approved that she's doing. For instance, the Santa Claus kind of posed a little bit of an issue. When she's booking something and she has to book by a date, I don't want her to be forced, like, she shouldn't have to be forced to wait a whole month to get to a board meeting to get approval for a Santa, because she's gonna lose the date. So the idea is to get her some sort of expense per event that she could just go ahead and make the good judgment call and make the approval on that sort of thing and book the event. We all know we're doing a Santa, it's not gonna happen. The question was, how are we gonna do it? She did it 100% correct. She booked a very cost-effective Santa. The alternatives were over $1,500, and it was way out of our current budget that is dialed in for the social committee. So that's why I'm moving to make that motion, to kind of slipstream that process, especially going into the budget for next year.
And how did you come up with $800?
It could be 1,000. I'm just thinking in my head, what is the right number? I don't know, but I would imagine if you're booking anything over $1,000, we should all be well aware of it.
And it would be, the event would already be approved.
The
Like,
event
we
would
would
already
have
be-
already talked about it and said, this is what we're gonna do, and Johanna go out and take care of.
Exactly how she does it.
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
even some of her other events, she's a couple $100 for the trick-or-treating event and this, that, and the other.
And since we're in budget season, I know that, and we should have as a general idea for the events for the years. Johanna, if you already have this, I apologize if I missed it, but just a wag of, 500 for Santa, 250 for decorations, 200 for Easter egg hunt, whatever that is, just so our line item that's in the budget, we're not, overstepping. So completely agree with Johanna having the authority to do so. It's just obviously we need to have an eye on, and this extends well beyond social.
Well, just to respond to that, of course, I've sent out an email to the HOA board, even prior to making the thing, let them know. If they're obviously that, I can't wait for but I think, 48 hours or whatever you guys want to set, as if you don't get back to me, then I'm going to have to make a judgment call at that point. But no, I will, of course, send the information prior to even trying to spend. I know with, some of the things we're kind of going along with it, but I absolutely will be following up and letting you guys know that information.
Yeah, Johanna, and that wasn't a dig at saying you're not. I completely agree. You do, and I thank you. It's more of the standard just because we're going to be approving a budget expense and less than a month away from when we're also going to be potentially increasing costs to the community. So it's just an optics thing to make sure that there are those checks and balances, which we have. I'm just saying it so it's on record.
So how it would work is we would have an event that we have scheduled, and then the board would decide on what the budget was from the social committee, like what it was for that particular event, and then Johanna would have the ability to make deposits up to X amount. Is that?
We could, but it's more so like this. The social committee has a line item budget that they need to adhere to, right?
Yep.
And when we're having our board meetings, Johanna should be like, these are the events coming up in the next month. Here's what I'm planning to do. Here's what I believe it's going to cost. Treasurer, do we have the money? You're going to look at the GLI and look at what's spent for the year. Yes, we do. We don't. By the way, this is what's left. By the way, this is what's left in your budget. Godspeed. So it's a great event.
But this gives her the flexibility to make those reservations in advance, so she's not behind the power curve. Yeah, no, agree.
So is 800 the right amount?
That's the question. Is 800 the right amount? I think 500 is too little.
Yeah, I think it's good. You can always change it if it's something we're missing the mark. But
so, I make a motion to allow the social committee liaison to have a approved expenditure of $800 per event.
I'll second it. Oh yeah, is it that?
Anybody calling to report later, please after we get these.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now,
I need to add a bit of information that I didn't have in my manager's report, so everybody's here. Tico contacted me yesterday. There's a box at the end of the parking lot on the left-hand side behind the home that's on the corner there as you're exiting. It's on that homeowner's property. However, that box feeds all the electrical to this entire facility, and Tico has to replace a switch in that box next Friday. It will leave this entire facility without electric for a minimum of 4 hours. So that means the fitness center is going to be closed down. Jennifer and I are going to work from home remotely. And then Bob will be here to make sure that once everything's up and running, that the cards work and everything is fine. It will not affect any homes in the area. It will, at worst, it's going, well, other than here, it's going to affect the irrigation across the street and the street lights in the general vicinity on Village Center. So that's next Friday, starting in the morning between 8 and 9. That's it.
okay. We'll open up to resident comments now. If anyone needs to be unmuted, just let me know if you can't unmute yourself. Let's say you find people.
I have a question. Sean,
John?
have we talked about the Christmas budget for lights?
Not yet.
I noticed, I could be wrong, but it's only a $200 budget.
That's correct.
Yep.
Any way we can increase that and make it a little bit more presentable in the front?
This year? I unfortunately don't have much more to say on that. I mean, it literally puts us in a negative if we do.
Okay.
Accepting donations, though.
We will gladly accept donations.
Yeah, it's just that we have such a beautiful community. We have very little limited lights.
But we also have very little money to use.
This is the current problem. Yes.
I agree.
Hey, for clarification, Sean, and for everybody, when we address the lights, are we talking about the HOA is responsible for the sign up by Publix, or which area of lights are we talking about?
Decorations. Decorations.
Sorry, decorations, but where? Are we talking about the lake house or other?
The front entry at Publix.
Not us, is
That's
it?
actually
That's the
CDD.
CDD.
That's the,
Yeah.
So that particular area we don't have control over, but, you know, the lake house and our other properties here, the pool, we could do stuff there.
Yeah.
just gonna say it right now. It's, I think a lot of the decoration, I'm probably gonna be requesting to do some more stuff for the Santa event. So that's probably going to go to that at this point. It's something we can look towards if residents really want more decorative outside of it. But right now, I don't think that's within our budget. So
No, it's not.
So we
If people
can't.
want more decoration, then they can volunteer and make donations. I think
Yeah.
Tom had it right. Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think we should, that's what I would absolutely accept anybody's donation for Christmas lights if you have extra.
Maybe
We'll
we put
get-
something on Town Square, honestly, because I know I have extra ones that I'm not going to use. I don't know if they work.
I do too. I do
You
too.
don't.
Yeah, and we can, we could set something up to put them up. Well, yeah, no problem. We can put a post.
We could do a Facebook post. We also got to look at what we have. I'm not 100% sure what we have. I believe our Christmas storage is at the pool location. We need to have Bob go through it, pull it all out and see what we have.
You guys are gonna hate me, but can I still make a motion? Or no?
Well, we're still open.
I would like to make a motion that we talk about the community input. It bugs me that, like Sean said, no one's saying anything here because we already voted. And
I'll second your motion.
yeah, okay. So what I'd like to say is, for me, we get these reports and we read everything, but a lot of times for me, like before I vote, like I do want to hear what people have to say before I form an opinion. Like a lot of times I don't already have my opinion carved in stone before I come here. And so it just seems kind of like, why are people even here if they can't give an opinion?
If I can.
Do you want to add your resident input back in the beginning? Because you had that
I
taken
think,
out.
like, why can't we have it after, like, okay, so we make the motion of whatever we're talking about, okay? And then, I don't know what order, but the board talks about it, and then we ask for community input about it, and we have to limit it. I know it can get out of control. And then we vote.
Well, we could
have several different options of how you
Like,
want
if
to
you
do
go to a school
it. This
board
is
meeting,
just,
that's what
this is
This is what it's been.
this is what is the last decision was.
Yeah.
We could go back to doing resident input before your agenda. You gotta remember, at the end of the day, your agenda, this is a board meeting.
Yeah.
So some boards choose not to have resident input after each agenda item because it is their board meeting. Some choose to have it motion, second discussion amongst the board, and then bring it to the floor. I've had some boards do that, and then when it got out of control in that particular neighborhood, they pulled it back and they put resident input in the beginning and the end. So it's really however you want to do it. You run that meeting, so you can do that.
Comments when it gets out of control, just absorb
Right.
closing comments. You have control.
It just doesn't make any sense.
And what, to be more controlled is, you bring it to the floor, that, it's not a free-for-all. The people aren't talking here and there. What most boards have done is that they allow the homeowner to say their name, their address, and then speak for that short time. And absolutely.
So let me just add one more thing, because I think there's a much larger step in there that we're missing. I have no problem changing our current board forms. This is rocky to say the least as it is. what's more important, and I was waiting till approved budget to move on forward with some of these ideas, but we need to start having town hall meetings on a regular monthly basis. Part of the problem is we're getting this and we're not even understanding it half the time of what we're talking about, what we're voting on, and what you're speaking to. Instead of giving you an agenda, help build the agenda. If we're having meetings on the last Thursday of the month, have a town hall meeting in the middle of the month. Let's talk about the items that we are putting on the agenda and how the residents feel about those items. So this way, when we come to a board meeting, there won't be even much to have discussion about. Let's be bam, bam, decision, do business, done, board meeting's over. Everyone will already know the agenda and exactly how it's going to be rolled out. Right?
Well, that's 2 meetings. a
That's 2
month.
meetings. Can we do 2 hours a month?
I mean, well, I'm just saying, it's hard, like,
Hold on a
doing
second.
your schedule.
Because a members meeting is not necessarily a voting meeting, not required to have a quorum, not required to have all the board members there necessarily, obviously you should come, but it's not a formal meeting, it's discussion. So the whole thing is an open forum. If you do it that way, anyone can speak. The other option is there are all reasons, there's another, following the Robert's Rules of Order, we would actually have to register to speak on a topic.
Right.
And that would be registered, and they have 3 minutes to speak, and if you don't register and you say, I want to speak on this topic, it's over when it's over. So that's another way to deal with it, because there's some events, even if you get to a town hall and you have discussion, there's still an opinion before it's voted on, people still have an opinion. Some people are very, very dead set on the way they want it, or the way they think it should be, and some don't care. So those that do have an opinion should be able to voice it. That's just coming from me.
Yeah, and that's worked. The property I was at before, they did once a month. They would do, well, they did a couple different things. So they did what you're talking about, they didn't call it town hall. And what ended up happening for them, because they had a good intention of what you're saying, is that only the few would show up, would be the same ones over and over again, so they canceled it. They would only have 2 board members show up, so there wasn't a quorum. And they would take the complaints or the anything, so they could build. Then they canceled that because it was redundant, it wasn't productive. Then what they did, so now you get your board packet from me a week before. Prior to that, you get the proposed agenda that you guys have put together yourself because you have these ideas, and so I put this together through the whole month. You get your board packet a week beforehand to review, so you have everything that you need an entire week to review. So you're prepared. But what that board did was a week or 2 before their board meeting, in place of those town hall meetings, is the board would meet. And they would have this board workshop. And they would talk about what are we gonna have on our agenda for the next month? And that became way too redundant for them. So, I mean, you gotta look at all aspects. The intention is great, absolutely. Just giving you my experience with other boards that meant the same thing.
I don't think the town hall should cover
May I
No, I didn't say the town hall covered the agenda. I said in place of them canceling the town hall meetings, the board decided to have a workshop for their agenda. So they would all be on the same page. And that was noted, that was posted also.
So
Can I ask a question? I'm
yes,
sorry.
Karen, go ahead.
So is that Heather speaking? I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I'm
that
not
was property
okay.
manager.
So I let me get this straight. So instead of having the town hall meeting, you would have like a workshop just with the board members. Is that correct?
Explaining that a prior property did the same thing as you're suggesting, as they were suggesting. And their experience with their monthly quote-unquote town hall meetings didn't work for them because it got to the point where hardly anybody showing up and it wasn't conducive. So then they went to a monthly meeting with the board to talk about future agenda items on future board meetings.
Okay, well, yeah, I can totally understand that. I don't know, I kind of like what Tom's saying, though. Maybe we could try it, and then if it doesn't work, I mean, I do think a lot of people are interested from what I've at least heard, and maybe somehow you figure out how, maybe you give them a time limit, like at a school board meeting or something like you had suggested, but maybe we try it and see if it works.
I agree. The whole idea is if no one's showing up to the scheduled town hall meetings, then there should be nobody having any complaints at the board meeting.
Right. Yes.
I would be the loud one on Facebook going, please, show, let's talk about whatever is of concern to make sure we get it on the agenda, otherwise, no dice.
Yes,
mean,
sir.
that's addressing the issue of maybe putting an item that's something that wanted to be on the agenda but is not. But also there was a discussion about actually having input on the agenda items that are currently.
I like the
I think those are
idea.
two separate, I think those are two separate things. So
They are, but I also think they're one the same, because if you're doing, you're right, maybe the first one, but your second one, by the time we get to, November, I don't know, the first week in November, if we have a town hall meeting, we don't know what we're gonna be discussing in our November meeting, right, in the budget, but that's about it. So we would actually be building those discussion items right down there.
Could we do a combination of both? Have the town hall meeting, but then for the board meetings, I like the idea of having to register, because that controls the chaos. Like, if you want to speak at the board meeting on a topic that's on the agenda, you would have to register to say, okay, I want to speak before the board votes on this. And then you get so many minutes to speak.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
As long as I don't know how the board's working here, why don't you start it on a quarterly town hall? The reason I mention that is if you start it monthly and all you get is 3 or 4 people coming in absolutely griping, if you cancel it, there'll be blowback.
I wouldn't cancel it. I would do exactly kind of what you're saying. I would start it monthly, and if we notice people aren't coming and we're not accomplishing anything, then we could push it to a quarterly. I wouldn't just cancel it.
Right, but if you start at the quarter, you can give more for the monthly meeting because it's working, as opposed to taking something away. It's just a mindset.
Sure.
And then you could also have some certain topics. Instead of having an agenda for that, but at least some topics that will going to be discussed, because I think that will be more appealing for people that actually join with something they're passionate about.
Like a proposed agenda.
It's a quarterly town halls.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we want to do quarterly town halls. Do you want to do a register then?
I like
On the
that
board
idea.
meetings? Register for a 3-minute conversation to be heard on a topic prior to the vote.
But what do you see on, I agree, we can change any format and get input. We got some input today, obviously, on the ones that we got input, but it should be a formal process, agree, got it. What do you see before coming to the meeting? As a resident, what do you see before coming to the meeting? You just see the agenda that's posted?
That's it.
Right. So if it says, ARC Appeal 5925 Jasper Glen Drive, if that's what you have, is that enough to register to make a statement on?
I don't know what the ARC appeal is.
Exactly. So it's either, right, so if we're gonna do this, we don't half-ass it, we have to give another bulletized level of detail to make it something worthwhile, or we kind of leave it to those items that I would expect the homeowner to appeal, but there may be 6 other homeowners that don't want the tree removed, or don't want the lights approved, or whatever, right?
Typically, there would be a synopsis of what the item is. There would be a small description of Santa Claus, cost 5, 6, blah, 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 okay?
Exactly.
That's all it has to be.
So it's just a sub-bullet that gives it some additional level of detail as to what the discussion point is. Then it would allow the registration. Obviously, we would have to, we would have to figure out how to limit it or cut people off if it turns a 1-hour meeting into a 9-hour meeting.
Well, cutting off people we could do. Registration process is.
No,
done,
not registration.
Like
no.
what, right before the meeting?
No, it's more of right, yeah, agree. When the agenda is posted,
you
Heather
can
should, not right before, I would think that if you're registering, Heather should know.
Well, what would be the latest you could register? Because usually it would be if people show up here, they could register.
Walk in, register when you walk in.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You could have a sign-in sheet, and then people can also submit.
Yeah, we can always
online.
ask for registrations to be submitted no later than 12.
What if someone
the
comes
day of,
online and does want to speak, they should be able to do that as well. The point is that it has to be done before the start of the meeting. Like, right at the start of the meeting, when they open the meeting, I would like to speak on this item, and cut it off at a certain time. Like, you can even say in the meeting, we're closing all registrations for comments from here, everyone in, and then stop it, so that if they wait, they're gone.
And when
So-
someone speaks, like, I don't think the board, like, I don't think that
we should be arguing with them back, right? It's just for them to speak and give their
Typically, they have the
opinion.
floor.
Yes, right?
They have the floor until they release it, or the 3 minutes expires. And if you need to ask a question, you certainly can, and it's okay if it's just a common courtesy thing, to try to get them through it.
Okay,
It'll work.
so we can expand our agendas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we definitely want to do that. Get a little more detail out of the agendas.
I mean, we can sit down sometime next week and go over that. Absolutely.
I'm gonna figure out something with the registration process. I agree, I gotta nail it down here, because we could do something online that we all follow and it all comes through at the same time. Okay,
So what's the motion?
how do we form that?
Is it a motion or is it
Right,
something?
it's not really,
It's not a motion.
it's a procedure, so you guys don't need a motion
You don't
on
need a
it,
motion.
but
It's
it's
discussion
fine.
and about procedure, basically.
Okay.
So this is something we're just gonna do. We're gonna start this, and town hall meetings, we're gonna do quarterly.
So this will be the first quarter.
This will be the first quarter.
Got
it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I've kind of heard a little bit of the discussion back and forth. I kind of agree with the registration portion. I'm not probably as strict about it, but I think allowing people to speak on the item when we're making the decision, I think is a good thing and a very fair thing, especially if we that they already know what they want to talk about that item.
Yay.
I think we agree. All right, does anyone have anything else? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And again, I apologize for the forum. I'm going to button this down. Come on here. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, great.